The Overwhelm is Optional podcast is for you if you want to quit the struggle with overwhelm. You want to live life to the full. You don't want to compromise your health and relationships in order to have well-paid, satisfying, meaningful work. You want it all on your terms. So, welcome to this week's episode of the Overwhelm is Optional podcast. This one is particularly for you business owners and anybody working marketing, because we have Chloe Morris of Flamingo Marketing with us today, and I'm so excited. Chloe is a marketing mentor and online course host, assisting overwhelmed and frustrated business owners to define and implement a plan for them, love and launch their marketing. I'm excited particularly to have Chloe here because Chloe had a huge impact on me and my life, my entrepreneurial journey. We first met 2.5 years ago when I was doing nothing online at all. And Chloe immediately saw something in me. I don't know what, but she said, Heidi, you need to be a personal brand. Now, as an introvert, that was the most terrifying thing anybody could have said to me at the time. But I believed very much in Chloe. Chloe's help with my marketing was just so influential and got me off to, it really changed the direction of my business. It really helped me accept my fear of promoting myself, which is something that I know Chloe specializes in. She made it simple, she made it possible, but she also made it important. And I didn't understand marketing. I didn't understand that it matters very much. If you have something to share with the world, it matters that people find you. So Chloe quite literally changed my life, the course of my business. And I have huge gratitude for you, Chloe. And it's such a delight to see you again, to see you looking so well, to have watched your own business journey, and also just to get to hang out with you. And I know you have so much to share that I know will benefit my listeners, either as business owners overwhelmed with marketing, which we know is a big thing, but also personally. So welcome. It's so lovely to see you.
Oh, it's so lovely to be on this. And it's an honor to be on your podcast as well, especially when we have our own story of working together. And if I think back as well, kind of when we first started working together, I remember you printing off my workbook and filling it all in and scanning it all in and sending it all back to me. And you're the only person that's ever done that, actually. It's like, wow, look at all these ideas. It's brilliant. So yeah, it's been such an honor to come on the podcast today. And overwhelm, gosh, that's such a thing that all of us business owners, particularly people with creative brains like ours as well, where we think outside the box, we all get overwhelmed. And, I've got my Trello here with all my trusty notes on, because that's just how I have to operate as a business owner, just who likes to spin all of the plates. So yeah. Overwhelm and tackling overwhelm is particularly a topic I've been looking forward to speaking to you about.
Right, I'm going to ask you the question I ask all my guests, which I love. Tell me about your adventures in overwhelm.
Well, I was hoping that I could come up with one particular funny story that would make actually with this, and I've been trying to wrap my brain, and maybe one will come. I think I've just been trying to overthink it, but definitely overwhelm has been part of my business journey. Like there's been more than one occasion where I've actually just taken a sabbatical from things because I've been so overwhelmed by it. So I'm someone who operates quite well under pressure and stress, even though I don't operate well like that. I need a little bit of stress, a little bit of a push with things, and it's just a funny journey when you run your own business, because you don't have a boss that says to you, okay, take a break now, go home, go and do things that are not work, because we work odd hours, we often don't look after our self-care, and you were a big part of that, looking after my self-care through that first lockdown, actually, Heidi, because we were having some live sessions and stuff together.
We were, yeah.
And that was a period of time where I worked for 49 days straight, because I was not only working with all of my clients who were all in lockdown, a lot of them in confinement in Spain as well, where no one could leave the house. And then I would be working with all of these different projects at once. So my brain was completely scrambled, and, all of these kind of different stories and scenarios and marketing strategies in my head. So doing that, and then also decided to write and record and launch 2 courses at once, one on my own platform and one on someone else's platform. So hence why I then was working 49 days straight and got myself so overwhelmed that I burnt myself out big time.
Yeah, I remember that time. I remember you struggling to do my course because my voice would send you to sleep, to which my answer was, you need to sleep.
Yeah.
Also, I was really grateful when you reached out and we did work one-to-one, because it's very difficult when we get to that extent of exhaustion, when the overwhelm, I think, see if this resonates with you, but I know for myself, my journey was that I became too overwhelmed to realize what I was doing until it was too late, until we reached that stage where you can't physically keep your eyes open.
Exactly. And like listening to your audios and stuff, that would be the only moment of the day where I'd actually switch my brain off from work.
Yeah.
So of course my brain I was like, right, rest now. We've got to rest, because the rest of your time you're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
And that's, that's where, we don't realize that we're so overwhelmed. We don't realize that we are spinning all the plates.
Because we're spinning the plates. And I think this is the thing, isn't it? You have very high standards. You are a good person to work with. Your business is great. You create an impact because you are so professional, and you don't want to let anyone down. And you were taking on a lot because it was a very weird time, wasn't it? You suddenly locked down and you were worried about your clients. You were supporting a lot of other people.
Like holding space for them essentially in their lives, because everything was kind of going wrong and they were very fearful. And I was like, okay, I just have to keep my head above water at the moment, and be able to help people where I can. And then you're just like, I think adrenaline is a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was like absolutely legging it on adrenaline.
I remember it so clearly now you're talking about it.
And that's like, I think it's the adrenaline. When the adrenaline runs out is when kind of the overwhelm can seep in as well, where you're like, whoa, how on earth was I doing that?
Yeah. I think the adrenaline like that anymore. You're kind of like, the overwhelm's there, but you're not aware of it. And when the adrenaline stops, then you're like, oh my God, I have no idea how I got here, because we're operating through this tunnel, this fog. Yeah. Keep going, crash. How did I get here? This is not how I would have chosen to live. Why did I do that to myself? Particularly if we do it on a cycle. Why have I done this again? I promised I wouldn't do this again.
Yeah. And for someone who like myself and many other business owners as well, like I deal with daily anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder, and you kind of put that in a box and you don't even think about it. And then it's kind of like the anxiety, like a lot as well with the overwhelm, kind of like rear their ugly head. And you're just like, all you want to do is just lie in bed and you just want to put your head under the covers and you just want to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the adrenaline isn't there just to get you back on the horse and to keep on galloping.
Yeah. At some point, I think you have to stop and reassess and find a better way. But that was an emergency, wasn't it? That was a very odd time for you and your clients. And I was really grateful to be able to be there and do some work with you at the time.
I'm so grateful for you like looking after me during that time, because, I was looking after, probably 50, 60 people in businesses. And I had I didn't have anyone looking after me apart from you with our weekly calls. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's extraordinary, isn't it, in business when, you helped me first. You were the first person I
gave you the leg up.
Yeah.
I gave you a leg up and
You
then
did.
you pull me back up.
I know, it's just extraordinary. And I love that, actually. I really love that about the entrepreneurial world, is that we all have our own specialism. Nobody's above anybody. There's just, I needed you at one point, you really, really helped me. And then it switches, and it's just, I really love that. I think there's just something really joyful about owning your own specialism and being there to help that person at that time, but being able to accept that there are things we need to outsource. There are things that we are not good at. And one thing I think is very, very difficult for us as entrepreneurs, particularly in that initial 3 years, before things become profitable enough to start employing other people or doing a lot of outsourcing, we want to learn everything ourselves. Can you speak to that about people and trying to do marketing without really understanding it? Because I know that's obviously where your specialism is.
Yeah, as a mentor and an online course host, that's I show people how they can do their own marketing, but also how they can break it down. And actually, so around that time, one of the courses that I was writing was my confident marketing course, which I still have running residually now. And it's basically just breaking everything down step by step and getting bits of clarity, and also being creative with it as well. Because I feel like if you're in the flow creatively with what you're doing and you're enjoying the process, you're loving your marketing, you're actually enjoying writing, connecting with people, writing the emails, updating your website and things, then I don't think that the overwhelm really hits quite as hard if you're actually enjoying that process. So yeah, essentially breaking down what it is and knowing that you don't need to do it all. A lot of people are very, very overwhelmed. Like I say, I work with people who are fearful, frustrated, and overwhelmed with their marketing, or just really hate it. And actually breaking it down, taking all the overwhelm out of it is going to be a lot easier for people to kind of get their teeth into and actually be able to understand their own style of how they want to promote their business and how they want to be seen by their customers and who they want to work with, etc. So yeah, breaking everything down is like the absolute crux. And I did a live in my Facebook group this morning as well on that. And it's so long as you've broken everything down and you do things in the right order and you rest and you enjoy it, then I feel like that's the way of banishing the overwhelm.
I think it's a real advantage, even though it was very painful for you, but being somebody who does get overwhelmed if you don't look after yourself, if you don't deal with that overwhelm, how do you think that really feeds in? Because it sounds to me like you're speaking as somebody who understands the overwhelm to do with running a business and marketing. So how do you think that feeds into your courses and the way that you work with people specifically?
I definitely come from an angle that I have been there and I still continue to get there as well if I don't have my systems in place. So I kind of like to think that everything that I develop in terms of my courses are quite empathetic and sort of tried and tested in the way that I will show you what you need to do as a minimum, and then you can actually take things to the next level when you're ready or in your own style, etc. It's hard to spin all the plates because as a business owner, you're not only creating your product or service, you're doing the research and development, you're doing all the customer service, you're doing your accounts, you're doing your marketing, you're having to do all your legal aspects, it's just you in that one business. So actually understanding what it is that you need to do. And like you're saying, you don't always have, when you first start, you don't have the resources and the budget to be like, oh, I'm going to get that person in to do my marketing or that person in to do my accounts. And even if you do have the budget for that, you need to understand what this person is doing so that you can take the reins, because you are the CEO and you are the everything.
But we don't tend to act as CEOs, do we? We tend to act as really badly employed people who work for terrible bosses. That's so common, isn't it? But I love what you're saying there about this idea of structure, breaking it down, getting clarity, doing the minimum first. But also you keep bringing in this, doing it in your style. And I love that. I love that. Look, it can be really overwhelming. Yeah. This structure and do it your way. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, having your own creative style. Like if you, like I use this as an example to someone I was speaking to the other day, you know, if you have a logo that you hate or a business or a website that you're like, oh God, don't look at that, then you're not going to be quite so proud of it.
No.
But if you like, you enjoy it and you're like, here's my business card, like, and they're like, oh, this is a nice business card. Like, yeah, I designed it myself or what have you, then and it has your details on there of how they can get in touch with you and things. You know, it makes you more proud of what it is that you're doing. And it also, you turn it around as well. So marketing mindset is a huge part of what I teach is, you know, you have people out there that have a certain problem and you have the solution to their problem. So by you hiding in a cupboard and not telling anyone what it is that you do, and this is probably an analogy I used with you at the start.
Yes, I remember. I'm cringing.
Like, how dare you deny your solution to these people with the problems? They have to live their life with all of these problems. and you keep the solution to yourself. I think it's very selfish.
Oh, I remember you saying this to me and I was like, no, I don't want to be seen. I want to be this invisible, visible person. It's that strange not wanting to be visible, wanting to be visible, posting something. Oh no, nobody's looked at it. Oh great, nobody's looked at it. It's the most bizarre push-pull thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I'm really hearing what you're saying about when you have something you can be proud of, you feel better. And I remember my rebrand, which was about a year ago, and already I've expanded and I'm ready for a little bit more because that's what happens, we evolve, right? But when I first got this branding in place, it was like somebody had given me a pair of new boots, you know, power boots, or like the right coat.
And you want to go out there, you know, you're quite happy walking into town and like strutting around and things. Exactly.
Yeah, you just feel better. Whereas a
new haircut. It's like a new haircut.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you're like, you know, I'm going to go to a restaurant, or I'm going to go and have a nice coffee, or I'm going to call by that shop because I know the person in there or something.
Yeah, it's completely different when you get your marketing and branding to that stage that feels right for you at that time. I remember having old business cards, which I had absolute shame of, and being at a conference and people were asking, and I couldn't not give them a card because it was too stupid not to. And I was just basically going, there's my old business cards. I have website shame at the moment. And they just laughed, and that was okay. But there's that icky feeling when you're not quite, it's not you.
Yeah. And you want to be proud of that. You don't want to be like, here's my business card, but don't look at the logo and also that web address. Please don't go on it because it's got really old prices and things.
Yeah.
Then you become really resistant about it. But it's a funny thing, isn't it? Like with all the kind of different areas that we go through with our business, and within like the marketing mindset, there's like 5 kind of core pillars that I always kind of talk about, which I feel that teach Overwhelm. I've got a dog here.
Hello.
So that would be like procrastination, which always comes up. When you're overwhelmed, you will procrastinate because you know you don't want to do anything. Perfectionism. You know, when you're being a perfectionist, of course, you get yourself overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
Oh, big one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're overwhelmed because you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I literally have a cat here now as well that's come to see me.
Oh, I love it.
All the pets. And the other one is inconsistency. So also you're like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to do all of the things. I'm going to do all of the marketing things. I'm going to post on Facebook 5 times a day for 5 days. And then I get completely overwhelmed and I've just become inconsistent. I'm like, nope, not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, the 5th pillar being fear.
Oh, yes. I'd love you to speak a bit more about the fear.
So these are all aspects that I talk about like within my marketing mindset course. And it's, you know, we have fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success.
Yeah.
fear of someone asking you something you don't know. There's so many different types of fear that fear of what people think of you, what people say to you, fear that no one's going to see you, fear that someone is going to see you, all of these sneaky things that can come up. And quite often, like when a client comes to work with me one-to-one, they've got themselves in such a tangle that they're just like, they can't get out of it at all. And they're like, well, I can't do this because I forgot the login to my website, and I don't have this, and someone's using my name on Instagram, and da 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 da. And I'm like, in the nicest possible way, can I tell you that all relates to fear? And that's what's coming out here. It's not because of X, Y, and Z. It's because you've got yourself overwhelmed, and you've got yourself in a state of fear. And as soon as you start to make that awareness that you are overwhelmed and you are fearful, and you're like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? And I love to do that sort of like that kind of like loop where it's like, okay, and this, and what's the worst that can happen? And what's the worst that can happen? Because then once we break it all down, we can like untangle this kind of mess.
Yeah. I love to do this. I call it the follow the fear technique.
Yeah.
So you're picking on the thing that's blocking you, and then you're going, so what's really behind that?
Yeah.
And what's behind that? And what's behind that? And what's behind that? And if you follow it all the way through, then it just starts to release you don't have to do anything. It's like you say, awareness is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before, like, we can, unless someone actually is, well, we can create that awareness ourselves, but sometimes by someone saying something, and then we're like, oh yeah, okay, so it's related to this is why I'm overwhelmed, because I always think of my website, and I think of the fact that this, that, the other needs doing, and I need to update it, and I don't have the money to update it, and da 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 da. So it's like we just kind of spin ourselves into this overwhelm loop.
Yeah, I think you're really speaking to the power of a good question there. The power of a good coach, doing a course as a group, or just, I mean, I think self-coaching within a course, even if it's not a live round, can be incredibly helpful. But there is something really great about being with other people and seeing how they answer a question, and just that. I think we often underestimate how amazing it is to have space held and a really good question.
Yeah, and like to hear other people's stories, to know that you're not alone. Like when I do live workshops and live rounds and stuff, I always start with the question is, okay, who here loves marketing? And there's a couple of hands up and stuff. And then I'm like, okay, when I say marketing, like, what do you think of? And they're like, oh, I don't like it, or I don't really like putting myself out there. And then one person will open up, and then the other person, and everyone's like, oh God, everyone feels like that.
Yes,
and even I feel like that as well often, because it's not in my nature to stand up and go and give like an elevator sales pitch and be like, you know what, I'm really good at this, da 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 da. Like, I hate doing that. It's just not my thing. And I was at an in-person networking event back in November. I hadn't been to an in-person networking event in like over 2 years, and it was like, okay, who wants to get on the mic now and like, tell us a bit about what you do? And I was like, the person next to me was like, oh, why aren't you doing this? You're into marketing. And I'm like, it's not my style. It's like, I was like, I could feel like sweaty palms and stuff. My legs are shaking. I was like, I can't do it. It's not, I'm not in the right mood today. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to be like singing all bells and whistles and stuff all the time. It's just about being a bit consistent.
That's really interesting. I love that. And I bet a lot of people listening will be utterly relieved to hear you say that you don't have to be that person. You can be you. You can market a way that works for you. What's your favorite way to market your business?
Me? I really like, I love creating my own social media posts. I love having a good lead magnet on my website. and basically just making sure that all the information is there that they need, and then making connection with people. So like I always say, word of mouth is the most important and the most beneficial form of marketing, but you need all the foundations in place to back it up. And also you need the way of creating that word of mouth. So building relationships is my favorite way. And it's like, I might have a chat with someone and offer them some advice now. Like I always, and any of your listeners are welcome to book one as well. On my website, pinkflamingomarketing.com, if you go on the contact tab, you can book yourself a free 20-minute ideas call. And I'm always really happy just to give people some ideas. And then they might come back to me and be like, oh, I've been following you for 2 years and I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I'm going to book a consultation with you now. I'm going to book a session, or I'm going to buy a course or something. And I'm like, great, because, you know, you've got yourself to the point where you're ready now.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm there as a resource at, like, you know, to give some information and support them on their journey, because there's no point in me working with them on a session and then them not wanting to action on it at the moment. You know,
no, you've got to be, people have got to be in the right, at the right place and buying in. And I have to say, your lead magnets are great. Sorry. Your lead magnets are great.
Thank you. I've just got a new one, actually.
Oh, go on.
It's a marketing planning workbook. So very similar to the one that you used to, but I've just refined it and slimmed it down.
Lovely.
So that's available on the website. I'll forward you a copy if you haven't already got one.
Yeah, and we'll get that in the show notes. And
yeah, perfect. So yeah, that's on my website again. So yeah, by having these resources in place and then just building a relationship with people over time to kind of help them build their mindset so that then they can actually build the foundations. And the style of marketing that I work with is not about shouting from the rooftops. It's about having all your systems in place, having the right message in place, having a way for people to know what you do and to be able to book and buy with you. And then just some gentle promotion and a good content plan.
Yeah.
And a way to get your name out there in a way that suits you, and a way for people to get to know you. So
I love that, Chloe. I love the way you work.
And it's organic. Like I don't do any advertising. I don't do any paid advertising at all, not even any Facebook ads. It's all organic, and it's all, you know, it's building connections and building relationships with people, because people always work with those they know, like, and trust.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's how I ended up working with you, is because you had worked with somebody I knew, and it's and then it just made sense. So tell people where exactly to go first, or what's the easiest way to get in touch with you or follow you and see whether you're for them.
Yeah, sure. So the best place to go to find all of the links to everything would be my website, and that is www.pinkflamingomarketing.com. Over on there, you can book yourself a free 20-minute ideas call, where I also can offer information about how else I can help you too, where I offer one-to-one mentoring, or also the online courses as well. So on my website, you can also sign up to my mailing list, which will give you my lead magnet, which is the marketing planning workbook. And also I have a Facebook group as well at the moment it's called the Marketing Flamboyance, but I'm trying to work out a different name. I'm going to
exciting.
Lovely. Maybe just go to my website and click on it, because hopefully by the time this goes out, I will have a different name for it.
Yeah.
And that's just evolution. You know, I've had that name on that page for 3 years, and I was like, it's time for a change.
It's always exciting, I think, watching how things grow, and we get more specialized, or we get excited about another aspect of business. It's just, I love watching all my entrepreneurial friends and colleagues growing and changing. And
it's really important to listen to that as well, and to change things and not feel stuck. It's such an ever-growing model, isn't it? Like marketing, the way that customers engage, particularly the last 2 years, like we've seen like a real change in the way that consumers behave, what people want, what they need, how they want it, etc. So but important to like hone in and listen. And even this morning working with a client, we re-looked at her customers, because to think about her customer persona, how different they are now compared to last winter where they were in lockdown. And now they're not in lockdown. Of course they don't want to do online stuff quite so much, because they want to go and see their practitioner in person instead. They don't want to have a homeopathic consultation. They want to go and see someone and chat with someone. So good to take a review now and again, I think. And
keep the energy high and
learn, love, and launch your marketing.
Love it. What's your top tip to reduce overwhelm while marketing your business?
Okay, my top tip is to firstly, and this is actually included in the marketing planning workbook as well, brainstorm everything that you need to do, everything, all of those scrappy bits of paper that you've got everywhere, get them all on one list. If possible, electronic, because then at least, you can Command F and have a look to see what you've got doubled up, because chances are these things have been written out 4 times. So firstly, that's what you need to do. Get everything you need that you're like overwhelmed with all on one list. And then what you need to do is prioritize it. So I Eisenhower it, which is the Eisenhower matrix.
Yes.
So that's what I've included in my workbook. Which is like, what we're going to do now, what we're going to do later, what we're going to schedule time to do it, or we're going to get someone else to do it, and what we're going to ditch.
Oh, yes.
Well, ditch, delegate.
Yeah.
So, which is always the best list, isn't it? It's like, do I really need to do this? No. Okay, out.
Yeah.
Actually, a client referred to me as the Marie Kondo of marketing.
Oh, I love it. How nice.
Get it all out. Let's get it all out. Let's see if we're going to love it and let it go.
Yeah.
And what we're going to keep, let's roll it up and we put it in nice and neat and tidy.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really nice thing to be told, isn't it?
Exactly. That you don't have to do everything. And so once you have put it all on one list, you've prioritized it, and then you need to schedule the time to do it. So you need to break it all down. So I always recommend like breaking it all down, like week by week, like what we're going to do, what actions are we going to take this week, and to break everything down. Like, for example, if I'm launching a course, I'm like, all of this, I've got to write, record, market it, all of the admin and stuff, all the onboarding. There's so much to do. But once you've broke it down, you're like, okay, I do that first, I tick it off. Do that first, I tick it off. So Trello is my magic.
Trello's your thing, is it?
Yeah. And all of my clients now are on Trello. That's how I manage all of their marketing tasks, and basically break everything down, because it's just so versatile with checklists and things. I love it.
Brilliant. Oh, Chloe, thank you so much. It's just been so lovely to talk to you, and there's so much information to help people there. I'm really, really grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you as well. I'm looking forward to listening back to this actually as well, and sharing it with all my audience too. So yeah. So it's going to go up on YouTube as well, right?
Yes, I'm going to actually publish on YouTube for the first time for a podcast. I do occasionally. I'm trying not to do that thing where you're marketing on every channel at once. No, that leads to overwhelm.
Can I admit something? When I saw your email yesterday saying you're going to put it on YouTube, I was like, I can't do that. Oh no, my fringe is too long. Oh, I haven't got the right backdrop. What if the dog barks? The dog's here. What if it? Oh, and I was just like overthinking it. And I was like, I actually drafted an email to say back to you, like, oh, can we not do the YouTube thing? And then I was like, I've taught this woman marketing confidence. I can't do that. Grow a pair, Chloe. Come on. So I was like, this is an opportunity for me to also pull myself out of my comfort zone, because it's January. I didn't work in December. I took December off. So I was like, oh, I'm out of practice. I can't do this. But I know I'm in safe hands. So thank you.
Oh, oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Chloe. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If this resonates with you, please use the like, subscribe and share buttons to help other people find their way here too. And please do go to www.heidimark.co.uk/the 1 minute mark with an E to join my mailing list and receive my free 1 minute life-changing audio practice.